This is the International Arbitrage on the 8th of October 2023. And today we're talking about the implications of raising funds in the US. And our assumptions are essentially that you are an owner-manager, you own your own company, you're running a family business, you are raising less than $100 million, and your business is based outside of the US jurisdiction. And when you're an international fund manager, because you will be using a regulated fund manager, if you're using a limited partnership, your general partnership will be a regulated fund manager itself, or you will have hired a regulated fund manager to be the fund manager of your limited partnership. And if that's the case, then you are going to be subject to the new advisor rules, new private fund advisor rules in the United States of America. And one of the big parts of the new rules, there are over 180 pages of rules, and some of the new rules are the transparency around fees. And so you are going to have to account for all fees, okay? If you're registered as a fund manager, you're running a fund manager in the US jurisdiction, and I'll explain in another video why you will ultimately have to have a fund manager in the US jurisdiction in addition to one outside of the US jurisdiction for your US investors. You are going to be subject to these new rules, which among other things require transparency around fees, which requires, relatively speaking, now previously the accounting for funds and the accounting for fees was not this detailed, but since these new rules have come in, the accounting for the fees, and I'm just going to look at my notes because the details, all expenses paid by the fund, all expenses paid by the fund to the fund manager, all expenses paid by the underlying investment companies to the fund manager. So if you are running an operational business in a jurisdiction like Brazil or Peru or Mexico, and you are making payments to the fund manager for a variety of services, then those have to be accounted for on the same sheet, the same report, and this information has to be submitted to the relevant authorities. So this is a big difference. The costs of doing this reporting is different depending on whether you are regulated in the US or not and how much money you are raising. I will explain in another video the fact that if you're international and you're raising for US investors, it doesn't help you to come within the exemptions, because being exempt from regulation in the US basically implies a lack of investor protection that not many US investors are going to go with when it comes to small, and I say small play funds and fund managers that are doing private equity type investments in oil and gas fields, mines, and other projects, small illiquid projects. So you have to take these things into account, and so transparency around fees is one big thing that you need to look into when you speak to US counsel about setting up and operating your fund in the US jurisdiction. Thanks.